Good morning, Ken Reed. It's morning in Auckland right now, and you look like it's a bit colder there as well. We are, of course, freezing in Norway at the moment, but
I don't think it's as cold here as it is there. Let's put it that way. But it is chilly. I have to admit.
Yeah, I'm happy that we caught you sort of in between the drama that was and the drama that is going to be, I'm sure, in the real Product Cup finals between the Italians and the Brits in a week's time. Let us look at what happened. First of all, I'd like to say to our readers that Ken Reed, of course, is famous as the president of North Sails. Everybody knows North Sails. And also as a skipper of ocean racing yachts, 80 feet and larger. But also now he's become very famous as a commentator for the America's Cup, and you have been greatly, praised for your commentary.
Well, I appreciate it. It's fun. It's a good group, and it's another adventure. We all like new adventures, and this is clearly a new adventure for me, no question.
Yes, it is, and yes, it is not, because this is your world. I mean, you know America's Cup from inside, from all the players, from making sails to most of the teams. At least now you only have North Sails for the remaining 3 teams. So it's going to be a competition. Who is the best North Sail America's Cup team?
That's a good thing, by the way. That's a good thing.
Is it? It's a good thing. Well, enough about that. We have seen. I think we can say safely that it's been a great disappointment and a drama for the Americans, and you are a member of New York Yacht Club, so you must feel for these guys. It was probably unrealistic to expect that not only should they put the boat back in order, but they should also have a chance to win against the Italians. How do you analyze that?
Well, yes, of course, it's hugely disappointing, not just for New York Yacht Club members, but for sailing, I think. So a couple things that stand out, and I don't think this is really speaking out of school, but it's how this schedule snuck up on everybody. That it just seems we started like 2 days ago, and all of a sudden one of the teams is leaving. It was really, I'm surprised the teams agreed to this, and they have to agree to this unanimously a long time ago. I just think all these teams were well-funded, powerful, and none of them thought that they would be the first one to go home. I think, I know that feeling. You start feeling momentum within your program, and you just feel infallible. We're doing the right thing. We got the right stuff. Our boat's fast. We got the right crew. No way we're going home. Well, all of a sudden, one of the big 3 here is going home. Somebody had to go home. Listen, history is going to have to fully analyze this program. I think it's easy to take cheap shots right now and to say that, well, this wasn't right and this wasn't right and this wasn't right. But I think we got to take some time after these big disappointments to really focus on what may or may not have been important. I think it's too easy to criticize design teams or mass sail programs, or I read an article the other day about leadership, and nobody knows. Honestly, nobody knows except the people within those 4 walls. I'm guessing that Roger Penske and Hap Fouth and Doug DeVos, if they're interested in continuing in the future, they'll bring in an outside resource to analyze this. If you let your own, it's like, we have wonderful leadership and ownership in a firm called Oakley Capital for North Sails, and people always look at that. They say, "Oh, poor you. You guys are owned by private equity." Well, the fact of the matter is, they've actually brought in outside resources to help us analyze parts of our company that have made us a far better company. Now, if we were left to our own druthers, we never would have done that ourselves, because we feel like we know better. We know how to run our company. God damn it, get out of here. This is our company. But the fact is that you bring in smart outside people to analyze what you've done, and and how you do it. And guess what? They have really good ideas. So I'm guessing that that's the path that they'll take. If they're interested in staying in this for the long haul, they'll bring in outside people and outside resources to help break down what went happen and pick it apart and either learn from it or make it better and continue. Nobody really knows yet, and I don't think I don't even think that Doug or Hap or Mr. Penske even know yet. So anyway, it's that's probably a long-winded answer to a question, but I don't think people are being fair to him right now by just saying it was this or this or this or this. But you know what? It was likely a little bit of everything, and somebody's got to help sit down and figure it out.
It is a fact that very few, if any, has won. Well, I mean, Switzerland, Alinghi won the America's Cup on their first effort, but other than that, people have never won the America's Cup on their first effort, and it's taken one or two.
Well, that's Bill Koch won in 1992 on his first effort.
That's true.
You know, way back when, historically, in the old days, I think there were plenty of people. I think that's exaggerated, actually. I think a lot of people have won on their first effort. I know that this group was not using that as an excuse ever. It may be trickling out now that, oh, you know, nobody wins on their first effort, but there is no chance with the funding and the smarts and the expertise that was in this group, are they using, woe is us, it was our first effort, we're just the little guy on the block. They consider themselves to be one of the big guys here, and I think nobody's more disappointed than that team is.
I'm sure. It's of course unavoidable, I think, that people are pointing at somebody, and I think credit to Hutchinson that he is not. I mean, he's said all along that it's a team effort. We win as a team and we lose as a team, and that's very credible, and it shows great leadership. But from outside, there have been fingers pointed in certain directions, and of course, this first capsize, which shouldn't have happened. There were a lot of circumstances. It was blowing 12 knots when they were approaching the mark, and 23 knots after they'd been rounding. Nobody knew that. But Dean Barker did a very dangerous move by tacking around the mark and going for it, despite advice from his afterguard that he should perhaps go for the other mark and bear off. And of course that was the start of everything, and perhaps they were desperate. They had done very poorly in that series after having been favored beforehand. I think everybody expected the Americans to do very well after the Christmas series. They were the best of the challenging teams. They were the only one to beat New Zealand, and you know, they looked very strong. And suddenly, not the least, the British had sort of bypassed them over a very short period of time, unexpectedly, and they seemed to be losing form. And so, of course, they had this victory, I think, in their pocket, or more or less, and they made an error of judgment. What do you think of that?
Error of judgment is probably right. There was certainly, in breaking it down kind of frame by frame, there were certainly people on board that boat that did not want to do that maneuver. Whether it was too late to change or not, that's a whole nother subject. Listen, they did not get knocked out, in my opinion. They did not get knocked out because the boat sank. They got knocked out because they had to spend 10 days trying to make a boat float rather than 10 days trying to make it faster. Now, whether they even had that capability, nobody really knows. Whether they had already kind of spent all their ammunition towards making the boat faster, nobody knows that fact either. So what is clear is that Luna Rossa hadn't. Luna Rossa had a lot of toys in the toy chest still that they were to bring out. And even according to the British, right now they're going 2 to 3 knots faster. 2 to 3 knots faster. And you know, these are real numbers on boats that are going such exceptional speeds, and like always, the sailors are learning how to sail them. You know, every cup campaign, including San Francisco and including Bermuda, that has radical new age, space age technology boats that frankly none of us have ever seen before. All three of these have been very consistent. At the beginning of the series, there's been full of mistakes, problems, issues, dramas. But as the teams go along the competition, they get better and better and better, and until by the end, it almost gets like, I don't want to say boring. Boring is the wrong word, but they don't make, it's fun when we get to talk about mistakes. Well, they don't make mistakes anymore. Prada made a huge jump in speed and sailing ability over that 10-day period, while while American Magic was patching their hole and trying to put systems, almost do the impossible, try to completely recreate electrical and hydraulic systems inside the boat. So that's the reason. So it wasn't that the boat sank. It's because by fixing it, they lost valuable time that they should have had to make the boat go quicker, and their competition did exactly that. So it was really, you got hats off to Prada too. I think if Prada went out there with the same boat from 10 days prior, it would have been a really tough series. So good for them. They did what they were supposed to do. They took advantage of the situation and stepped it up and sailed a completely dominant 4 races.
I think you're absolutely right saying that there is a steep learning curve, and that curve is not over probably. There's still a lot to be learned from these boats. But I think from your own experience in sailing fast boats, if you're sailing in Comanche and it's blowing like hell, and you are surfing along at 40 knots, you tend to brake, you tend to stop a bit because it's going too fast. And this is perhaps also one of the problems with these boats, that if they go too fast, they tend to stall out. You saw it also in this last series, that American Magic, as they bore off from the mark, they were doing 53 knots, almost 54 knots, speeds never heard of in this kind of boats. And sure enough, they were spinning out, and they fell on their stomach. So it's they are complicated boats.
Well, I think in that particular case, they actually made a mistake and put the board down at the wrong time. I'm not so sure that was speed. Listen, 53.3 knots is insane, first of all. And it was funny at this press conference after that, they asked Terry and they asked Francesco Bruni, is this something you guys are pushing towards? And they were both very quick to say, absolutely not. The America's Cup is about lap time. It's about going around that oval. It's about car racing, NASCAR in our country, you go around and around and around, around the oval. Well, that's what they do. They go around the oval, and you got to be as fast as possible all the way around the oval, not just fast in one particular turn. And I'm sure that all these teams would give up their high speeds for a faster complete lap speed. And they did. They both said it. They're like, we're not trying to go that fast. In fact, because that's when cavitation happens. It's why an airplane can't go faster than it goes. At some stage, the foil section isn't made to go that fast. And so that's what we're seeing. And I think boats will actually try to slow down around those marks rather than speed up sometimes for that exact reason.
Are you positively or negatively surprised about the match racing ability for these boats?
I'm very positively surprised. Listen, that was always a dream and a hope of all of us in sailing, that match racing would kind of creep back into this high speed sailing, and there's no question it has. And I'm trying to look forward to your next question. This next series is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, that's of course my next question.
Yeah, I mean, it is two match racers, I think, who are not only just at the top of their game, well, 3 match racers, Francesco and Jimmy as one. They're not only at the top of their game, but they're also, I think they're both confident, like super confident in their boats and in their teams right now. And you can really read it. Jimmy tends to put on a little bit of a show sometimes at the press conferences, no question about it. But I think I think he believes it right now. I think he believes they have a pretty good thing going. I know Francesco does, and how could Ainsley not? You know, they just got better and better and better. So I don't know anybody who can call this series right now. Nobody's crazy enough to say, oh, so and so has the edge. You know, the Brits have the edge or the Italians have the edge. I don't see it. I honestly, we have gone through it up and down and back and forth, and I would be really, really surprised if it wasn't a good, long, tough series of which things come out of it like, wow, I never thought we'd see that before. You know, I think we're going to say that to ourselves a lot as fans of sailing. Wow, holy mackerel, I didn't see that coming. Right. And yeah, let's just hope that sailing is the one who wins here in the end with a great, great series.
What has happened is that the Italians have changed their configuration slightly. I mean, they were being criticized for being two helmsmen, and how were they going to deal with that? I mean, in the start, for instance, and also during the race. They seem to have been looking at that, and they now have a tactician who is watching the mainsail and who is also having his eyes out of the boat all the time, which probably has been an improvement.
Yeah, so Pietro, listen, he's got great Olympic heritage himself, so he's none of these guys are any dummies when it comes to sailboat racing, but they're clearly asking him to look around, especially downwind, and kind of look at the big picture of the race course. That may have settled down Jimmy and Francesco a little bit, but also remember, they weren't really pushed in this last series. One of the things I actually read, which I thought was smart, is it's easy to have a quiet boat when there isn't somebody breathing down your neck. So let's still, you know, I think the jury is still out on this, under pressure in a tough spot, how this, you know, how two brains react instead of just one. And you know, I'm just really curious to see. Good for them for trying something new and different, for trying to gain an edge out of it. But let's see a boat race that's within meters and make sure and see that if this thing can happen. Because remember, the last race we saw them against Ben Ainsley in Ineos, they had a really tight race and lost the race, and had a couple chances to put the race away and lost the race. And Ineos wasn't at full strength because of their Cunningham problem. So, you know, let's see them under pressure. Let's see them make it work under pressure.
Do you think that this, it's not a penalty yet because it's just a warning, but do you think this warning against Ben Ainsley is too harsh?
No, this is called the America's Cup. Are you kidding me? This is looking for any advantage possible. If you can stick it to your buddy, that's the way it works. That's sorry, nobody should be surprised. And yeah, nobody should be surprised. This is how the game has always been played.
Well, Ken, thank you very much for your analysis. It's been, as always, when you come and make your commentary, it's been thorough and very helpful for all of us. So my only wish was that you would move the races a little back so that we could sleep in the morning in Europe and not having to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
You guys are all doing your own Volvo race, you know, your own Vendée, personally, by never sleeping, I can imagine. Yeah, that's wherever you are in the world, it's not perfect, unfortunately. So, well, at least there's good reruns. The whole YouTube program that plays soon after when you wake up in the morning. That's okay.
But you know, you want to be there first. You want to see it as it happens.
I know. I agree. I agree. Well, that means no sleeping. Sorry. We should all be in the coffee business at this stage if you're in Europe right now. That'd be good. If you're a sailor.
Well, thank you very much. I think our readers will enjoy the America's Cup in the future, and I'm sure listen to your commentary again. And thank you very much for appearing on our Saturday show. Have a good day.
Great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.